So we have all these different techniques for factoring. Now let's look at some of their applications in solving equations. Here I have laid out a pre-factored expression. We have x plus 2 times x minus 1 equals 0. Now notice, whenever we have anything that equals 0, if any of the factors equals 0, then the whole thing will equal 0. Let's assume x plus 2 equals 0. Then this would be 0 times x minus 1, which would equal 0, and it would be true. Or we could say that if x minus 1 equaled 0, then we'd have x plus 2 times 0, which would also equal 0, and that would be true. So whenever we have two factors, all you have to do is set each factor, x plus 2 equals 0, and x minus 1 equals 0. Set each factor equal to 0, and then solve for x. So here, if we subtract 2 to both sides, we'll get x equals negative 2, and here we'll get x equals 1. And that's going to give us both of our answers. Let's do a few quick examples. Here we have x squared minus 36 equals 0. Well, I recognize that this is a difference of squares, so I'm going to go ahead and factor this. That's going to give me x minus 6, x plus 6 equals 0. I'm going to set each factor equal to 0, so I have x minus 6 equals 0, x plus 6 equals 0. And then solving for each of those, I'm going to get x equals 6 and negative 6. Okay, next we have 2x squared plus 4x equals 0. I recognize that these have factors in common, so I'm going to factor by distribution. And this 2x squared and this 4x have a 2x in common. So I'm going to reverse distribute a 2x. I'm going to be left with x plus 2 equals 0. Now let's set each of our factors equal to 0. That's going to give us 2x equals 0 and x plus 2 equals 0. Solving for each of those, we'll get x equals 0 and x equals negative 2. Lastly, we have x squared plus 6x plus 9. I know I want factors of c. My c is 9. Let me get my marker again. My c is 9. And I want things that add to give me 6. Well, I know that 3 times 3 equals 9, and 3 plus 3 equals 6. So that's going to factor to x plus 3, x plus 3 equals 0. Now, notice I have the same factor here, so I'm only going to have to write x plus 3 equals 0 one time, because these are the same factors, so no need to write it twice. And if I solve from there, I'm going to get x equals negative 3. Alright, the tricky part of these is not really setting each factor equal to 0, but determining which type of factoring to use. So remember, you have all different kinds of ways to factor. So first, take a look at what your equation is giving you. Is it giving you a difference of squares? Is it giving you an ax squared plus bx plus c? Is it giving you something that you could factor by distribution? Once you narrow it down to which type of factoring you're going to use, again, it's very simple. Just set each factor equal to 0 and then solve each one individually.